Hello everyone, I'm Natalia Bilbao, and here's what's happening in LA this week. Mayor Eric Garcetti delivered his annual State of the City address this week, and as you would imagine, the event looked back at last year's challenges, the city's resounding spirit in response to those challenges, and the coming year's rich hopes of getting beyond the COVID-19 pandemic.
13 months ago, everything changed. On March 15th last year, I came to you with an unscheduled address on live television, asking you to stand apart and to pull together, to meet head-on a new and potentially devastating threat. None of us could have foreseen what this year would hold. But through our pain and our trauma, we showed who we are. We learned our neighbors' names and what they needed from the store. We masked up to save lives. We ordered in to save jobs. And we saw how unfair the world still was. The pandemic hit us all, but it hit some of us worse, taking too many of our seniors, too many of our poor in too many communities of color. And it reminded us just how much work we still have left to do. And I know we all want to see and build a stronger, a more hopeful, a more resilient, and yes, a more just city. But if there's one thing I know from my 8 years of service as your mayor, it's that Los Angeles doesn't run from challenges, we rise to them. We find the reason to get to yes, to set the bar for justice and to clear it. And no one should ever bet against us, not against our spirit, our grit, or our people. Strength and love, LA. Good night.
With the arrival of the COVID-19 vaccine, communities of color are slowly responding to the message of getting their dose as soon as possible. And Councilwoman Monica Rodriguez is leading by example. She brought her own family to get the vaccine, and she invited Channel 35 to tag along. Check this out.
Today my family and I are taking the opportunity as a result of the April 15th eligibility for us to get our COVID-19 vaccine. I think it's really important that families come together to show solidarity and help give the example of how important it is for all of us to get this vaccine. You barely feel anything, but there's a great deal of relief knowing that we're already getting the access, and I'm just so grateful for our firefighters, for the nursing staff with CORE that has done an outstanding job since the beginning of the pandemic activating here at Hanson Dam. It's not just about protecting ourselves, it's about protecting our community. And the sooner everyone gets access to the vaccine, the sooner we can actually go to greater in-person activities. We're asking everyone to please just do their part and go take the vaccine. We've made it as available as we can possibly make it. And so just pick up the phone, call, whether it's our council office or the CORE site, so that everyone can get registered and get access to that vaccine. Ya me vacuné.
Over the past year, news has been inundated with death tolls as a result of the pandemic. But as we ease back into a new normal, we are reminded that the same real threats to health and safety still exist and need addressing. Councilmember Paul Koretz was on hand to introduce a new traffic signal that will make one community much safer.
February 17th, Monique was driving home from work at around 5 o'clock, heading east on Olympic, when a 17-year-old man driving a Lamborghini going around 120 miles an hour collided with her vehicle, totaling it and ultimately taking her life.
Monique era una muchacha linda. Ella tenía un corazón de oro. Ella hacía lo que podía por todos, sus amigos, la familia. Ella tenía un espíritu para ayudarles a todos. Y llena de amor para todos.
As a result of our close work and partnership with LADOT, we were able to expedite a protected left turn signal here at Olympic and Overland.
It's hard to be here. My son was killed 10 years ago in Sherman Oaks. He was a pedestrian killed by a speeding hit and run. While I want to applaud all the measures that have been taken for speed mitigation, I think I want to reach out to the public out there and ask them to do their part. They have to stop driving so fast. They have to stop driving recklessly and taking people's lives.
I don't believe that that 17-year-old left his house that day and meant to kill somebody. I think this is a terrible tragedy all around.
I'm working with the Department of Transportation to put several measures in place that should be helpful in curtailing speeding. For example, the department will be installing what is known by traffic engineers as rest on red for several traffic signals during peak hours at several key intersections. This will force drivers speeding ahead of other vehicles to come to a complete stop at an intersection before the signal turns green again. We'll also be installing several electronic feedback signs that tell you how fast you're going, that instinctively makes people assess their speed and slow down.
Councilmember Gil Cedillo and his team have once again joined forces with Cultiva LA to bring bags of fruits and vegetables to the surrounding communities in need. Channel 35 was there to catch the pop-up event at this thriving urban garden.
We are here building community. We're launching our food truck. We're promoting food giveaways. And we're laying the foundation for a community that will emerge from COVID-19 stronger, more united, more focused.
Este evento es muy importante para la comunidad porque estamos aliviando los alimentos que a veces las personas, las familias no tienen para ir a comprar a la tienda, especialmente cuando viene como frutas frescas y vegetales.
We actually grow produce here in the area. This is a 1/4 of an acre community garden here in downtown LA. Frescura es de calidad, aquí nos enfocamos mucho en la calidad del producto, entonces un valor promedio de una bolsa serían unos $30 a $35.
No, de nada. Gracias.
Sí, nosotros tenemos un programa actualmente con la oficina del concejal Gil Cedillo y esto va a durar por un año hasta mayo del 2022. So, vamos a seguir haciendo estos pop-up events. Tenemos 2 en el Distrito 1. Cada semana lo hacemos en diferentes lugares para poder ayudar a las familias en todo el distrito.
We have literally fed tens of thousands of families throughout this period through ongoing efforts with the Central City neighborhood partners and with Cultiva and our other partners throughout this district. And so this is one of something we do every single week.
Members of Team Cedillo were in Eagle Rock recently for the activation of a newly installed pedestrian crosswalk. The crosswalk was installed to increase driver and pedestrian safety. Check it out.
This is a rectangular flashing beacon system. It's to give pedestrians a safer access route across the street.
We have 4 of these safety crosswalks with the lights that have gone in the last week. And this is something that's extremely important, making sure that our constituents and everybody else in Los Angeles are safe when they're walking. And also it makes cars safer when you are able to slow them down a little bit. When you come up and you turn it on,
yellow lights are flashing.
Lights come up so you can see them, and it's really, really effective at night, but it also works well during the day. There have been accidents on this stretch on Eagle Rock Boulevard. It's right next to some freeway off-ramps and on-ramps, so you get some people that aren't from the neighborhood in this neighborhood. It's very important that bicyclists and pedestrians are aware of their surroundings, as well as our vehicle drivers as well. That's really what this is about, is to bring awareness to everyone so that they're focused on the fact that it's a crosswalk.
Check out a study counting walking and biking in LA. Councilmember O'Farrell brings tiny homes to Echo Park And City Attorney Mike Feuer secures an injunction against a vaping manufacturer. These stories up next on City Beat.
The Los Angeles Department of Transportation has released a report of its findings from the 2019 walk and bike count. The report uncovered trends in active city travel broken down by demographic. The report suggests a 14% increase in women biking, particularly on roads with lanes dedicated to cyclists. The report also explores how transportation investments can make streets feel safer and more comfortable for people of all ages and abilities. To read the full report, visit ladot.lacity.org/walk-bike-count. Councilmember Mitch O'Farrell recently toured a new tiny homes village for people experiencing homelessness in the 13th District. These tiny homes, what Councilmember O'Farrell is calling safe sleep cabins, are designed by formerly homeless individuals and will include access to showers and other services. With construction ahead of schedule, it is expected that as many as 74 people will be moved in and off the streets by mid-May. City Attorney Mike Feuer has announced that his office has secured a court ruling in his 2018 lawsuit against Candy Pens. Candy Pens Incorporated is a California-based company that manufactures tobacco products, including vaping devices and e-liquids. Feuer alleged that Candy Pens targeted young consumers with social media marketing and did not restrict access to its social media ads for persons under 21. A city attorney investigator was able to purchase tobacco products from the Candy Pens website while posing as a teen customer in direct violation of California's Stake Act. Candy Pens will be required to pay a $1.2 million penalty for past violations.
Since the beginning of the pandemic, Councilmember John Lee has been helping small businesses in District 12 with recovery loans. And he has a philosophy that businesses like Los Toros Mexican Restaurant are happy to comply with. Basically, instead of paying loans back, Councilmember Lee asked that they pay it forward to the community. Take a look.
Los Toros, an iconic restaurant in my district, it was part of our business relief program. So we got them a $25,000 grant. We asked them, instead of paying it back, to give that money, pay it forward back to the community. And so we reached out to our community, asked them to nominate someone who was deserving of a free dinner. They nominated, we picked these families, and tonight, here's the result.
It's a special day today. We're doing this dinner on us. It's a way of giving back to our community and having them just come back, have dinner, relax, and try to get, over this pandemic fatigue. I hope you guys have a wonderful time. Enjoy your margaritas.
Yes.
Be patient. I'm in the kitchen, so, it takes a little bit, but hey, enjoy, okay?
Yes, enjoy. Thank you, guys.
Small businesses are the backbone of Los Angeles, of any city. And so we knew immediately when COVID hit that supporting those small businesses was going to keep people employed and keep restaurants like this stabilized throughout the pandemic. So again, we did this with hundreds of other businesses throughout Los Angeles to make sure that people stayed employed. Restaurants and salons and all sorts of businesses survived throughout the pandemic.
I love it. I love it. This is great. This is the greatest thing that John could pull off, and we're very appreciative. And living in this community, we love it, and it's the greatest thing.
Y dar a la comunidad han organizado esta cena esta noche gratuitamente para personas que están en necesidad o personas que han hecho algo especial durante el tiempo de COVID para ayudar a la comunidad.
Throughout this whole year, we're going to be doing little projects like this. We're going to go to the police department, to the fire department, feed some teachers. We already fed nurses. We fed some of the homeless. It's just a way to just try to, make people try to forget about this pandemic and just feel normal again.
Team Harris Dawson of the 8th District invited Channel 35 to the future site of a new pocket park at Destination Crenshaw. The park is one of many attractions that will promote cultural awareness when visitors ride the new Metro Crenshaw line. Here's a peek.
So we're here at the intersection of Crenshaw Boulevard and Lemert Boulevard at the future site of Sankofa Park. And Sankofa Park will be one of a series of pocket parks that are part of Destination Crenshaw and will populate the Crenshaw Boulevard adjacent to the Metro Crenshaw line. What this project is designed to do is ensure that people who are riding on this new Metro line, who are visiting Los Angeles and arriving through LAX, have no option but to understand the cultural contributions that African Americans have made to this area. It's designed to preserve this community, and it's all been designed with the feedback and engagement of South LA residents. So we worked with residents, we conducted surveys, we found out what their concerns were regarding this Metro line, and really we designed this project with those concerns in mind to proactively prevent the cultural erasure that many people fear. Right before the pandemic in 2020, we capped off Black History Month with a celebration right here, where we broke ground right here on this site, the future site of Sankofa Park. We had thousands of residents in attendance, we had live performances, and really the goal was to capture exactly what the feel and the look of the project would be once complete. And as you drive down Crenshaw, you can even see current artwork that we had commissioned from artists right here in the community to just start to give folks the sense of what the project is going to look and feel like once it's complete. So there's been a lot of community engagement at every point, and we have a lot of community support as well. So this project is really designed to preserve, celebrate, and cultivate the rich creative community that exists here in the heart of South LA.
The Los Angeles Football Club recently showed their appreciation for essential workers. The organization honored 700 essential workers with an invitation to Banc of California Stadium in recognition of all that they've done in the past year.
Today we are allowing 1,000 of our fans and supporters back in the building. We're taking this opportunity to honor 700 essential workers from various walks of life, to give them a chance to have a great day at Banc of California Stadium as a small way for us to say thank you for all they've done for us over the past year.
I think it's amazing. I think it's a blessing to truly recognize those people who have put their lives on the line this entire year just for people's safety and for people's comfort. So I think for having this game and having this game specifically for them, it's important. It's a blessing.
It was a tough year last year, and for us to be able to come back and be able to enjoy the outside again is amazing.
We've gone to a completely touchless, cashless environment. Digital tickets, social distancing, and masks are going to be enforced. Hand sanitizing stations, back of house, front of house, you name it. Whatever the county or the state government has suggested as protocol, we're going to follow it to keep people safe.
Well, as long as everyone does their part, stays vaccinated, but at the same time, they still promote safe social distancing and keeping your mask on, I feel like we can slowly return back to normalcy and hopefully watch more games here at Bank Stadium.
It's really good. It feels great for 90 minutes. It feels like you're having a normal life again.
The folks over at Keck Medicine of USC want to remind Angelenos that April is Autism Awareness Month. Dr. Stephanie Thompson zoomed by Channel 35 to give us a crash course on understanding this neurodevelopmental disorder.
Autism is a neurodevelopment disorder with a strong genetic component. The disorder causes social, communication, and behavioral challenges. It is actually very common, with more than 3 million cases per year in the US alone, and that number only represents those who have been diagnosed. And there are treatments available, but to date there is no prevention or cure. I think it's very important to recognize that the condition doesn't just go away. In fact, the majority of these individuals may struggle in one or more areas of life, but can go on to lead what society would consider normal lives, and for some, even extraordinary ones. It is not uncommon to recognize the condition in very successful individuals with high-performing careers such as medicine and science. My recommendation to individuals or significant others that think that they may have the condition themselves or that maybe their significant other does is to reach out to a licensed professional for evaluation and do some research on your own to determine whether you think that this is a possibility for you. For people who need more information about autism, I suggest that they go to autismspeaks.org, and there they can be linked to different resources and professionals that are familiar with this condition.
As Californians, we are trained to be prepared for a variety of emergencies: wildfires, flooding, earthquakes. In part 2 of our series, the Governor's Office of Emergency Services wants to remind us of another natural disaster we don't think much about: tsunami preparedness.
One of the most important parts of Los Angeles is, in fact, on our shores. It's the Port of Los Angeles. How will that be affected if a tsunami comes our way, and what should we do? Well, I'm delighted to be joined now by Anna Burton, who is the Emergency Management Coordinator for the Port of Los Angeles. So nice to have you here. And the port is a huge part of our coast.
It absolutely is. The Port of Los Angeles, which is a dual agency complex port between Los Angeles and Long Beach, is really one of the primary economic hubs. It's actually the largest container port for the past 20 years. So we're very proud of what we do.
So you're very keenly aware of what a tsunami could do to the Port of Los Angeles. So where are you in terms of preparedness, and what is done down there that might be different from just the average resident or tourist?
So I think because the port, we have connections around the world with various other ports who are very aware of the impact of a tsunami, have experienced it, and we plan and we train together. So one of the key things is to make sure we know who all our partners are. And the port, because of its location, its operations, we have a number of agencies that we work with on a daily basis. We're very lucky to have our Coast Guard as one of our key partners. And we work very closely with our Long Beach partners on how to prepare for a tsunami. And it's not just a tsunami as we would look for you and I, it's really operational. What would a tsunami do to the port?
Yes.
So what we do is, of course, the first thing is plan. And it's never just the plan, it's the planning process. Who do you bring in? What do you talk about? What plans do you have? When have you updated them? Who's involved? And most importantly, like we've talked about, is how do you get the messaging out? The correct message at the right time with the right information will help all of those individual agencies make their own individual decisions, which impacts how we respond together.
What's the economic impact of something happening down at the port? I mean, I know there's a lot of, because we're talking tsunamis, and there's a lot of buzz about tsunamis in this particular point in time because it's, Tsunami Awareness time. But there's an enormous economic impact if anything happens down at the port.
That's a huge impact, and we have a huge team at our highest executive level, Jean Soroka. We proudly put out we are open and operational on a daily basis. And if we're not, that has significant impact. But again, it depends on the month, the time, the day, and if there's damage, how quickly can we recover and get the ships moving. And it's an entire, it's that wheel of you have the ship, you have rail, you have transit, you have the truck lines, the roadways, the bridges, the thoroughfares. Everything has to be working in a very coordinated way to make sure that we get the commerce in and out as safely as possible.
Thank you so much, Anna. This has been such a great opportunity to learn so many things that I had no clue about, so I really appreciate it.
Thank you. We appreciate the opportunity.
All right.
In our featured story this week, we'll learn about the Salvadoran American Leadership and Educational Fund, an organization that works to promote the civic participation and representation of the Salvadoran and other Latino communities in the U.S. Channel 35's Maria Hall-Brown spoke with the executive director, Jocelyn Duarte.
Well, we've all seen the stories of the crisis at the border, but there is so much more to learn, which is why I'm delighted to be joined today by the Executive Director of the Salvadoran American Leadership and Educational Fund, Jocelyn Duarte. Nice to have you with us.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
All right, as we were talking before we actually started rolling camera, this really is personal to you.
I am the daughter of immigrant parents. My father immigrated here fleeing civil war, as well as my mother from Guatemala and El Salvador. And so I've intentionally made my work to be within my Central American community here in Los Angeles.
Well, as I mentioned in the introduction, there is really a remarkable story with a lot of pathos and a lot of heart and a lot of tragedy taking place right now, but there's a lot of misconception about asylum seekers and why they're coming. And what is the true story about why someone would actually leave their country?
A lot of violence that is existing in those countries that are pushing people to flee. A lot of gender-based violence, a lot of gang violence, environmental refugees, people that are fleeing these conditions that are, happening in their countries. We need to understand these root causes in order to be able to change our immigration system.
Are you optimistic?
I am. I think that I took a deep breath in January when we had a new administration, because I knew that it was, for some of our families, it really was a life or death situation, but also of the span of decades of separations of family. And so there's real new hope with the new Citizenship Act and ensuring that people that have been here, that have been making meaningful contributions to our country, that are law-abiding citizens, that are here and have been here, have the opportunity for the first time to be able to, have the ability maybe to even go back to their country and have a pathway to a residency, a pathway to citizenship. This is their home, and I think that is why I'm optimistic, because I know that the change that needs to happen is going to happen, not only because of Salif, but because of all the organizations and the people in this wonderful city, in this country, that know the change that needs to happen and are making the change happen.
I'm sure your parents are very proud of you.
Thank you.
All right, so if people want information, SALEF.org. Well, it was lovely to meet you. Thank you for all of this incredibly important information, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much for having me and giving me the space.
LA Public Librarians put on a live Dia celebration. Explore the Readaptations exhibit by Angels Gate Cultural Center, or reimagine public art with some of LA's finest local artists. All this and more up next on Things to Do.
Join the Los Angeles Public Library for a fun Dia celebration. Featuring many cultures and traditions, LAPL's children's librarians from all over the city will unite to present special activities. This program offers something for everyone, including a cooking demonstration, storytelling, puppet shows, songs, poetry, and craft activities. The Dia celebration is online at the Los Angeles Public Library's Facebook and YouTube pages. Angels Gate Cultural Center wants you to check out Readaptations. The exhibition includes works by Angels Gate studio artists with the theme of connection with each other, our daily routines, and inner self in a post-pandemic world. Readaptations also aims to demonstrate the resilience of artists to adapt, understand, and ultimately reinvent themselves when faced with challenges. The reopening of Angels Gate Cultural Center is still pending, but you can explore the virtual gallery. Just visit angelsgateart.org. Join Mayor Eric Garcetti as he drafts LA artists into service for the Reimagined Public Art program. The program asks artists to explore themes and techniques of the new hybrid space and public art between the physical and the virtual. Some exhibition showcases already created include House and Home, Bridging the Digital Divide, and Community Care. So be sure to check out Reimagined Public Art exhibitions brought to you by the LA Department of Cultural Affairs. For more information, please visit culturela.org/reimagine. And that's a look at some virtual things to do.
That's it for this edition. I'm Natalia Bilbao, and from all of us here at LA This Week, thank you so much for joining us. A reminder that you can catch us online at lacityview.org, and we're also on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. See you next time for more LA This Week.